Before I go ahead and introduce our amazing guest today, I want to start by introducing myself. I'm Jack Blenkinsop. I'm B1G1's Partnerships Manager. It's great to have you all here. Thank you for all the interaction in the chat. My colleague Raki is in there. So if you have any questions throughout the session, anything you want to throw in there, please do, and Raki will pick it up, and I'll try and keep an eye on it too. But I really want to frame today's session with a question, and I like to frame every one of these sessions with this question because it's just so good. It was posed by the former CEO of Unilever, Paul Polman, who happens to be a friend of B1G1's. In his book, Net Positive, he asked, is the world a better place because your business is in it? And I love that question so much, and we love it here at B1G1 because it's central to the B1G1 movement and everything that we do. You see, we exist to make it easier for businesses to create more positive impact just by doing what they do each day so that they can become a real force for good. Because we believe, and our members believe, that being a business for good is not just good for the world, but it is great for business too. And that's actually the reason why we started this whole Profit Meets Purpose web event series, because we want to spotlight amazing members like the one that's on the call today, businesses that are doing incredible things, because when you align purpose and profit, it really does lead to awesome stuff, right? It leads to increased growth. It leads to better relationships with clients, and of course, to a lasting impact. So please keep this question in mind throughout. We'll be coming back to it a little bit later today. And it's something that, I really do love. So do keep it, keep that question in mind throughout the session. But without further ado, I do want to introduce today's guest, who is just awesome. I have to say, like, it's so, I was just saying before we came on here, it's like being on screen with a celebrity, because I see so much of Sophie's content online, and it's just so good. And if you haven't checked her out on LinkedIn, you should. She's hilarious. I know you're not a comedian, not trying to work, but honestly, the stuff you put out is brilliant. So I just wanted to start with that. But Sophie, Sophie is from Electric Peach. Why don't you introduce yourself? It's great to have you here. But yeah, tell us a bit about who you are, what you do, and for those that maybe are on the call that don't know what Electric Peach is.
Electric Peach is a brand studio, and we work with impact-driven organizations, non-profits, for-profit as well, but who have a purpose at their core. And we do everything from design to story to website development. And more, I've been working with founders, female founders, to help them really access their self-expression and to communicate with more impact around their mission and the thing that matters the most to them.
And how long have you guys been running now?
8 years, exactly 8 years.
8 years. So take us back to 8 years ago, or even just before 8 years ago.
Yeah, so I accidentally found myself in marketing. I started my career, I started my career as an English language teacher because I graduated from a degree in English and creative writing in the middle of the 2008 recession. So I moved to Prague, became an English language teacher, then I moved to China, and then I moved into journalism. And I had always been, I would say that probably in my core, more like communist than anything else, like very socialist, and hated marketing. And so I have no idea how I found myself in marketing, but I left journalism, became a marketer. And I was working for an agency that my entire career was basically manipulating people to think that they had something wrong with them so that we could sell them the solution. And I was so miserable. And I decided after a series of life events that I needed to do something about it. So I set up my business as a response to the manipulation of marketing to prove that marketing could be a tool for good.
Yeah, that's cool. So that's what drove you to incorporate purpose in that way, right?
Yeah. And also because, and I had a conversation a few years ago with Paul, who set up B1G1. And we were talking about how business is the problem. There's so much around the world that is an issue because of late stage capitalism and because of businesses. But if it's the problem, then it also must be the solution. And that's something that I feel really, really passionately about.
Yeah, yeah, that was Paul Dunn, our co-founder. That's
Yeah,
right.
he's wonderful.
Yeah. So what does that look like then when businesses shift from simply like communicating to like that purpose-driven community? Because you're all about community, right? So tell us a bit more about that and what that shift actually looks like for you and the clients that you work with.
I think the key thing, which goes against a lot of marketing psychology, is to do the good thing and then talk about the good thing.
Mm.
So, a lot of the time, marketing is about looking like you're doing all of the stuff, and we are appealing to the consumer, etc., etc. Whereas my belief is that if we just do good things, then we have a lot more to talk about. But the point is to do the thing first and then talk about it.
Mm, mm. So what would you say, like, what do you love most about marketing? Because I know it's not originally what you'd set out to do. Sounds like the first thing from what you're.
What do I love about it? Good question. Do you know what? It's not marketing that I love, it's communication. And I really strongly believe that there is no problem that can't be resolved through effective communication. And having the skills to be able to communicate your purpose, your business, whether that's a wider purpose, like you want to change the world, or even if it's just something that you want to have the best, you want to give the best experience to your customers, being able to communicate that to the people that you stand for and that you're helping in a way that gets them to see the impact of what you create for people is a really, really important part of business. In fact, if you don't have your communication right, your business can't succeed.
Mm, yeah. And and tell me a bit more about the types of clients that you're working with at the moment. Is female leaders and others, right?
Yeah, we have historically worked for much bigger organizations. So we've done work for the UN, for the Chartered Institute of Environmental and Eco Management, other sort of purpose-driven non-profits and for-profit. But my main passion really is helping founders to grow their business and grow their vision. And again, the way to do that is through communication. So I teach founders how to communicate more effectively. And then in the process of doing that, they find their self-expression and their confidence and their ability to navigate the complexities and sometimes existential crises of business with more courage. And that for me is the best thing ever. It's like watching somebody who didn't realize how amazing they are become more aware of their big dealness is my favorite thing.
Mhm. Yeah, awesome. Must be, I mean, you obviously have great relationships with your clients, and I see this on LinkedIn as well, right? With the stuff that people comment on your posts, and I see that from reviews that they leave you. So it definitely, you have that real community feel, right? Which I'm sure is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I really believe in the clients that I. Oh, hi, Paul. I really believe in the clients that I work with, and I'm quite picky about the sorts of businesses that I work with. I've turned down. I mean, I probably would be a millionaire if I didn't have the driving conscience that I have, because I've turned down quite a lot of really really attractive financial offers because they didn't align with my values and the business's values. And now, because I work with female founders, it really has shifted a lot in my feeling of actually making a difference to individuals.
Mm. Yeah, but I have to say, like, just knowing you through being a B1G member and the stuff that I see you post on socials and stuff, like your authenticity really shines through for me in so many ways, and I think that's the same. That's how a lot of people feel about you and the work that you do. So you're in this position that you're attracting the right type of clients for you, that reflect your values and how and also, you know, how you view things socially. So I think that authenticity is so important, and I think you for you it's a really big thing, right? I think it's not a brand.
I mean,
It's serious.
I don't think very many people are quite the level to which I am. And that's actually my first book is gonna be published in March. And the level to which I have been brutally honest about my own mistakes is like, I can't believe I'm actually putting this out into the world, and it's going to be in a book, so I can't edit it later. but it feels really important to me to model honesty. It's not authenticity is a word that gets thrown around all the time, and it means different things to different people. But I think the truth of humanity is that we are all a mess, and that we are all pretending that we're not a mess. And like every single person I've ever spoken to is just thinking that everyone else has got it all figured out and that they're the only ones that haven't. And the reality is none of us have it figured out. Being a human is innately messy. And if I can use my life for one thing to show people like you think, no, 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 then that will be a good life.
Yeah. I know in your business, like storytelling is such a big thing, right? So if there was one piece of advice you could give like purpose-led brands, like how they could make a sort of storytelling shift, which would result in, you know, more profit and more impact in the long term, what would that shift be, do you think?
The biggest challenge that people have when they're telling stories is that they think the story is about them, but the
Yeah.
story is always about the person listening to the story. And a story is only ever as effective as the person listening being able to see themselves in the story. So, the biggest shift that you could ever make is to really understand your audience and to understand the reality of them. And then when you're telling the story, think about them as that main character and you're more the guide rather than the star of the show. And even if you're talking about your own experiences, then it's not really about you at all. It's the person listening to it has to be able to see themselves in your experiences.
That's awesome. Yeah. There's a quote which Paul, our co-founder, likes to use, and he's probably watching this thinking, "You should know this, Jack, by now." But it's one by Steve Jobs, and it's about the storyteller setting the vision, the values for a whole generation to come. I think it is. Paul will have to drop it in the chat because I've probably butchered that, but it's really cool, and it kind of resonates with what you just said there.
Yeah, and Steve Jobs, interestingly, Apple was failing, and then he went away for a bit, worked at Pixar, and realized the impact of storytelling, and then came back and realized I'm not selling a product, I'm selling a vision, I'm selling a story, I'm selling like the ride or die-ness of, and I'm not an Apple person, I don't get it at all, but I know people are like, it's ride or die. Like, I'm going to have everything that is Apple. That doesn't come from selling a product. That comes from creating a story that your audience see themselves in.
Yeah. So you're not an Apple fan?
I'm not like really a brand fan, which I think is which is what I mean. Like I'm a terrible marketer. So I don't care. I
Well,
don't care really about any I care about businesses that are a lot like ethically aligned, and I don't think Apple is one of those businesses.
that's we could have another web event regarding that issue. But on the subject of brand alignment, one thing that is particularly aligned with the way you work is B1G1, right? You've been a B1G1 member now for a number of years. So,
5 years.
so why don't you tell those listening in, and there's lots of stuff going on in the chat there, so we'll have to have a look at that in a second, but why don't you tell those listening in why you decided to partner with B1G1? Because, you know, you have strong views on lots of different things, right? And like, I know there are certain organizations that you've kind of gone with and then taken a step back from again.
Oh, talking about people. I actually, interestingly, talking of being always the controversial person, like I found myself on the panel at B Corp Festival because no one else wanted to be the one that said, be another way. And I mentioned B1G1 then as well. And the reason that I first heard about B1G1 because of my client at the time, Fox Greer, who was really invested in everything that you were doing. I think it was quite early stages of your development. And he told me about how incredible what you were doing was and really sold me on it. And so just because of him and trusting him, I signed up. And then how I've implemented that in my business is just this very simple way of giving back for different things. So, like, you pay your invoice on time, then we donate a year's worth of clean water. You sign up with us, and I really enjoy listening to my new clients and hearing what would align with them and then donating a percentage of the project. And I never tell them that. It's not a marketing ploy. I just do it. And then I send them an email saying, just because you're working with us, now you've done this. And I've chosen this charity because it aligns with you as an individual. And they always really love that. And I love being able to do that. And I appreciate the fact that I can know where my impact is going because of paying the membership fee. So it doesn't, there's some organizations and charities where you don't always know that it's actually making the difference that you hope it will be.
So yeah, that's right. So yeah, that's very transparent through B1G1. And I know that impact is important to you. And again, we've talked about the relationship you have with your clients, and you're in particular about the types of clients you work with. So no doubt when you're giving and you're creating these impacts, it's important for you to be able to share with your clients that impact and even let them decide, what giving is being done. So involving that in that giving journey is important to you.
Yeah, like definitely. And also just showing that you don't have to be this massive organization to make a difference.
That's an interesting point, because that's come up on a few of the other Profit Meets Purpose sessions, where businesses have said that you don't actually have to be this like multi-million-dollar company to begin creating impacts. I think that's a misconception a lot amongst a lot of businesses, right? That perhaps they're starting out or growing, but they have to wait until they get to a certain size with a certain number of team members, make a certain amount of profit in order to make an impact. And it's just not true, right? It's like, you can begin creating an impact, certainly with B1G1, from very small amounts from when you're very small. We have lots of businesses joining us actually who are pre-revenue, are just launching, that want to integrate B1G1 from day one.
Yeah, exactly. And like you really, really can make such a huge difference with what you have. It's not like big or small, it's just what you can give makes a difference.
Yeah. And how has success changed for you over the years then? Because you started, 8 years ago, and obviously your journey into Electric Peach was quite unique because you weren't expecting to go into marketing, and you obviously give regularly through B1G1, give very generously through B1G1. So how has success changed for you? Like, has giving through B1G1, the impact you're making on people and communities globally, has that influenced the way that you view success? Some people it does. They see actually like with my business growth, I'm also able to create a more positive impact, right? Because I have the money to do so. So how does that kind of play out for you?
Yeah, definitely there is that. I mean, I would say probably, if I'm honest, that I've become more jaded as I've worked with different organizations to the actual core of some organizations, and that's sad, which is the reason why I'm away from predominantly, in fact exclusively, working with SMEs to working with founders, because that for me feels a lot more genuine. My idea of success has shifted because I used to think it needed to be massive, and I grew this agency and had a team and all of this, and it was making me really miserable. And now my idea of success is in, sorry, my dog. She's very, very antsy. My idea of success now is more in the micro moments. Like, I no longer feel like I need to change the world, and instead take responsibility for my behavior in every interaction. And that feels more like enough than it used to.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's so cool that you feel that way, and that's just not everyone feels like that, right, in business. So it's nice that you feel like that.
I think I had to learn the hard way. And then I was like, actually, none of this is making me happy. And it's interesting because I'm very, very fortunate that people tell me their secrets. I'm one of those people that people will just tell me their like deepest feelings immediately as soon as I meet them. So I've been really privy to an awful lot of people's truth that maybe other people would never hear from them. And what I know for sure is the amount of people who spend their entire career thinking they have to prove something and then get to the end of it thinking like, what was I trying to prove? I didn't have any happiness. And so I now am more on a quest for joy, and I know that joy is found through going for a walk and seeing the butterflies dancing. Like it's not found through anything other than that.
Well, we're grateful that we're on the journey with you here at B1G1. Like, you're such a valued member, and we appreciate the giving that you do. We appreciate how vocal you are about B1G1. If you could just pop in the chat, guys, let's go with the word joyful if you are enjoying this conversation that we're having here. There's loads of stuff in the chat here. Paul's actually sent through that quote. The storyteller is the most powerful person on the planet. The storyteller sets the vision, the values, and the agenda for an entire generation yet to come. I was about 70% of the way there, wasn't I? What I'm going to do now, guys, is give everyone the opportunity to create an impact just because you're at today's session. So here at B1G1, we like to create meaningful impacts in everything that we do, right? It's a big part of what B1G1 is all about, is integrating giving back into seemingly, arbitrary everyday activities. So because you're on this call today, I'm going to give everyone the opportunity to create an impact. So what I'm going to do is just share my screen here. Here we go. You should be able to see on screen a QR code, and next to that QR code, for projects. So if you scan that QR code using your phone, or if you don't have your phone nearby, Raki is going to pop the link to this QR code in the chat, which you can just click on, and you'll be presented with these 4 projects. This is a B1G1 tool called the B1G1 engagement tool. Allows members to select up to 4 projects and present these to clients, potential clients. In this case, we're presenting it to you. It doesn't cost you anything. We cover the cost of this. So all you need to do is scan the code, click the link in the chat, and choose one of these 4 projects. You can plant a tree. You can provide 5 days of education to a child in need. You can give 50 days of access to life-saving clean water, or you can provide training and support to women starting a business. Choose one of those 4 projects, guys, and we'll make that happen for you as just as a small thank you. Isn't it great, Sophie? Yeah. So yeah, that's just a small thank you for being here. For those that are listening to the conversation and you're thinking, actually, this is really cool. I love what Sophie's doing. I love how she's integrating B1G1. Then we also give you the opportunity, when you scan this code and create an impact, to let us know if you would like to explore B1G1 further. You can just, let us know your name and email, and I'll reach out to you and we can maybe have a chat and see if B1G1 is a good fit for you. So do let us know if B1G1 is something you'd like to maybe explore further. What I want to do to finish off is ask you one final question, which I try and ask everyone that we speak with, keeping in mind the theme of profit meets purpose. Is there one piece of advice that you would give to a business in order for them to take action, to incorporate more purpose into what they're currently doing in their business?
Every business has a purpose, even if the purpose is literally just to make money. My belief is that every single action that you take has a direct impact, and the sum of your impact is when you spoke earlier, Jack, about net positive. So when you look at all of it together and think, what is the energy that I am creating through this? And so my advice is, don't ever underestimate the impact that you have, even just as an individual. We all have huge power in the world, and how we choose to use that power is the sum of our life. And for me, that should never be taken for granted, but also should never be underestimated, because every single time that you do anything, you have a direct impact on somebody else.
Awesome. Great advice. Great advice. I did say that was the last question, but there was going to be another question because I lied. Your book, what's it called?
My book. It's called Beyond Palatable, a manifesto for unapologetic women. And it's about self-abandonment and the way that women, not just women, but particularly women, are conditioned to please and abandon their own needs, abandon our own truth in pursuit of being accepted and acceptable. And it's a rallying cry to stop being acceptable and to instead just be true. And that's a really, really hard thing for a lot of people to do.
Yeah, I really hope that you're incorporating some kind of positive impact through B1G1 for every book sale.
I hadn't actually thought of that, but I will
There you
do.
go. Yeah,
There you
that's
go.
never given, right? Imagine that every ebook, every physical copy, something great happens in the world as a
Yeah, I
result.
love that. I'll have to think about how to do it because it's being published, which is quite a dream, but at the same time, like, I don't actually own the rights of my own words. But certainly for my royalties, I can absolutely do that.
Yeah, you should. Well, look, I appreciate your time, and I know we've used this word authenticity a lot, but I do really appreciate your authenticity, like both in the way that you conduct yourself publicly, but also on, you know, behind closed doors. You're just a very real person that I really enjoy talking with and communicating with. We're so grateful to have you here in the community, right? You're just an awesome human being. So thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you for
Well,
being.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's been really lovely. And also I love everything about B1G1. So, you know, I'm a big supporter.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we're grateful for that. There's a lot in the chat here, which I really appreciate as well. So thank you everyone for being here. And there's people literally from all over the world. I can see some people in Singapore and Australia, here in the UK. So thank you. And there's lots of joyfuls in there too. So clearly those that are in the on the call are enjoying the conversation. So the next one of these is coming up. What's the date today? The 3rd of September, unbelievably. Next one's coming up on the 24th of September. So look out for that. I'll be posting something on LinkedIn where you can register. But I just want to say thank you again to Sophie for being here. You've been awesome as always. Thank you very much to everyone that's attended and watching the recording as well. I hope you enjoy this conversation. And yeah, until next time, take care, and we'll see you again very soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Bye.
Sophie. Bye, everybody.